Welcome to Enhancing Your Sound. We're about to take the tracks that we have and put them on steroids. We're going to make the drums hit harder, the vocals sound even better, and we're going to take a special look at some plugins that don't come stock, but I personally love. So let's get started. Welcome to the Behind the Board on Microphone Bleed. We're going to be working on mic bleed on drums right now. Mic bleed is when one microphone is picking up something it shouldn't be, like a snare drum is picking up a bass drum, or a rack tom is picking up a cymbal. With drums, the most important part is to get everything out of the toms, because the toms go through some pretty serious EQing, and you don't want those same equalization processes going on to the cymbals and bass drum and snare drum and messing up your mix. So let's work on the rack tom in this. Some people like to use gates for this. I like to do all of this stuff manually. It gives you a lot more control, and you can listen to what you did, and you're never going to have any problems with a program or anything like that. You really know exactly what you did. So let's dig into this. We'll zoom in a bit and see what we got here. So you hear all those cymbals. I'm going to mute this click out too. You hear all those cymbals and those snares and everything. That's not supposed to be coming out of this track, so we need to work on that. And we work on that by cutting around where the toms are. So we'll use our selector tool here and just grab right up to around where this first tom starts and press delete. Now use your selector tool. Make sure you didn't delete any of the actual tom by zooming in. No, it looks pretty good. Now after that, you want to make sure that these are two tom hits here. You want to make sure that you give it time to dissipate so that the tom doesn't stay, it doesn't get cut off. The tom gets to keep its sound even over another instrument. So it sounds like the other instrument takes over as a snare drum right here, and the tom is already pretty much dissipated by around this area, so let's just give it a little room and cut here. Let's do that again. Give it a little room. All you gotta do is press your delete button and make your cut. All right, now I want to show you a way to do this much quicker, much smoother, a way I'm a big fan of. Go up here, make sure this is on. This is your tab 2 transient button. This lets us just use the tab button to go to the next transient, the transient being these large hits. So we want to get rid of all the large hits that are obviously not toms, so we can get to the toms like that. Press delete. Now let's zoom in and I'll show you how this tab to transient button works. You can see right now we're about 11 seconds in, a little more than that. So press your tab button, click around 11.4. Press your tab button. It brings us right to where it starts. Press it again and it should bring us right around here. Perfect, and that's what we want. Now instead of highlighting anything, all we need to do is press the A button. Press A and it's gone. Now let's continue from there. Alright, so this tom hit has completely pretty much dissipated right up to here, so we'll cut there, we'll zoom out, we'll find our next rack tom hit. We'll get right up to it, trying to eliminate all the transients before. Delete, zoom back in, press our tab 2 transient button, tab, there we are, and we'll press A. Now if you were trying to cut in the other direction, say I wanted to cut right here, you could do that by pressing the letter next to A by pressing S. So A and S will let you cut whatever's on that track, but be careful because it'll cut everything that's a clean file. So you have to make your cuts around first so that it doesn't just delete an entire track like that. Let's undo that. All right, so we have our rack tom set. Let's go over to our floor tom and do the same thing. All right, great. So we'll cut till about where it is. We'll use our tab to transient. This floor tom is out. You want to pretty much the cymbals are bugging me about the floor tom. You realize what's going to get in your way. It usually is the cymbals more than snare drums and stuff like that. So we're going to cut it before that cymbal hits. We'll delete to there. We'll zoom out and we'll find our next big hit, which is right here. Zoom back in. Use your tab transient 2 times and recut it with A. And we're going to keep on doing this throughout this track. Let's cut that symbol. Right. Remember, our tab to transient is just the button tab. And highlight a bit more, move over towards the end. And yeah, this is our last hit here. So when you get better and better at this, you won't have to zoom in too much. You'll make your hits. You'll take out most of your transients. You could be in a pretty wide mode. You'll click your tab a couple times and you're out. And that is it. So we got through that pretty quickly, but now we need to do our actual gating. We need to make our fades. First, we're going to make a batch fade by highlighting everything. So we're highlighting all of the rack tom, all of the floor tom that exist. Command F brings up our fade menu. I like my length to be at, right about 5 milliseconds. I want really short fades because we're only going to keep this for our fade-ins. And our fade-ins will be these red ones over here. Fade-outs would look like these blue ones over here. So this will work perfectly for us. This will make sure we don't get any clicks or clips as we enter these tom parts, but it won't be too long of a fade to take away from the initial hit of it. So we'll press OK there. Now let's zoom in and see what we did right to this one tom at the beginning. Great. You see where we are. We're at about 350 here. Great. And same thing with our floor tom. It's looking exactly the same. That's what we want. And now on our way out, we want to do a different fade. We don't always want to do that batch fade. Batch fade is a quick way of doing it. It's almost a lazy way of doing it, but it's completely workable for the beginning of it and not at all workable for the end of it. So let's just do ourselves a fade from right after the initial hit's in there, and it starts to dissipate. We're just going to help it out by pressing Command F and creating a fade. We go down here. We're going to need to be using equal gain fades for this. So we're finally using those equal gain fades and not always equal power. And we'll come down to this one. This is my favorite one for toms. You might want a more drastic fade like this every once in a while. And I get that. That's fine. But let's do these for now. Perfect. All right, now we want to do the same thing here. We want to eliminate a little bit of that snare by doing one of those fades. It's an equal gain fade, and it is this one. Perfect. So that's what we're doing with these fades. We're eliminating all of the around room, but still getting that initial hit. And remember that your toms are coming through your overheads too, so they will ring out a little more through those. So let's make our way through just doing that over and over. Just getting the practice of going to equal gain, changing our fade type, and okaying it. And we're almost there. Here's our last one. We'll zoom in. Equal gain. We'll change our fade type. Equal gain. Change our fade type and okay it. Perfect. So we just made our way through the microphone bleed on these rack tom and floor tom. I suggest you do it with your rack tom and floor tom, not so much with your snare drum and kick and everything like that. We might be able to run some gates and stuff on a snare drum, but this is important right around here. So learn how to do this. You can use those A, S keys. When you're doing the tab to transient and pressing A and S, you're going to impress your clients big time. You'll look like a Pro Tools ninja that way. Thanks for being with me on this video, and come back for the next one.